Hello and welcome to the World Builders Library. My name is Lewis Nichols. We do world building around here, although that's not what we're doing today. Instead, we're going to talk about some rules. We're going to talk about grappling. It's a difficult subject. The devs, the D&D people, those guys, they change the rules a lot. So it's kind of hard to keep up with. It doesn't always come up. It can be cumbersome because people don't understand it. So we're going to dive in, and I'm going to make a commitment in my campaigns and in my character builds and my friends' campaigns to try to use grappling more often when appropriate. Now, first of all, 2024 Player's Handbook is what we're using. We're not going to talk about the old rules. We don't care. I am focusing on today's stuff because we don't want to muddle things up. We want to clear it up. Now, this all starts on page 367. It's the back of the book. This is where we have a list of rules, a list of conditions, a list of terms. It is a dictionary for the Player's Handbook. It is one of the appendixes. And it tells us that grappling is initiated by an unarmed strike. That's for players. That's for the PCs. There are also monsters that can do this. They operate under basically the same rules. So, that's where we're starting. Unarmed strike. A successful attack. A successful grapple action. If your character does this successfully, it inflicts the grappled condition on the target. To grapple, you have to have a free hand. You can't have a shield and a sword and then decide to grapple somebody. You have to have maybe a sword in one hand and no shield, just an open hand, and that's the hand you're going to get your hold with, that you're going to grapple with. To escape a grapple, an action must be used to escape using either athletics or acrobatics. The grapple is also ended if the grappler is incapacitated or the distance between the grappler and the grapplee exceeds the grappler's range. So that's basically if the guy misty steps away or something like that. All right, now this leaves some things that we don't know about. And that is one reason that this is all a little bit cumbersome. You got to look in 3 different places to put all the rules together. And that was just one place. The second place is actually on the same page. It is, again, page 367 of our new Player's Handbook. And it is the grappled condition. So if you have the grappled condition, your movement becomes 0. That's one of the coolest parts about the grappled condition, about grappling in general, is dropping your opponent's movement to 0. Number 2, if you have the grappled condition, you have disadvantage on attacks that are not against the grappler. So this is great for a character who has a high armor class, who has lots of hit points, maybe for a barbarian. It's the same thing as like a goading attack. You are encouraging this person, this target, to attack you, the grappler. If you're going to be a grappler, you want to be the kind of person that can take the heat. All right, number 3. If you are grappled, you are movable. That means that you can be moved by the grappler. It takes 2 feet of movement to move you 1 foot. So if this barbarian that's got a hold of you has a movement speed of 40, they could drag you 20 feet. If you are tiny, you could be moved full distance, 1-to-1. So that barbarian can grab you and run with you. What does this all tell us? It tells us that we, with a grapple, want to be prepared to constantly reinitiate that grapple if we think that the guy's going to be regularly getting away from us. But mostly, the best targets are the ones that are not particularly physical. No high dex, no high strength. Confuses us a little bit because of the tiny creature thing. What if a tiny creature grabs another tiny creature? By the book, then they can drag that tiny creature at their full movement. It's not the same thing as a medium creature grabbing another medium creature. But anyway, that's a small thing. Nothing to get hung up on. The last piece of this trifecta is in the same area of the book. It is the description, the official description, the tactical official description of unarmed strike. And that's on page 377. When you use an unarmed strike, you have three choices. You can do damage. You can grapple. That's the one we care about the most. Or you can shove. We're going to talk about all three because they're all semi-relevant or totally relevant. They're all interrelated. That's probably the best way to put it. All right, so damage. If you're damaging somebody with an unarmed strike, then you're going to roll your attack. You're going to get that dice roll. You're going to get to add your pro bonus, and you're going to get to add your strength. And then you get a whopping 1 point of damage plus strength bonus. So not a whole heck of a lot of damage, which is fun. It's a game of swords and giant clubs and maces and bows and arrows. Just punching somebody, no big deal. It's something to build on. All right, grapple. Says here, the target has to save against the escape DC to avoid the grapple. If you're going to grapple, as a DM or a player, figure out your save DC ahead of time. It's easy. This is something that you're going to need to know. There ought to be a spot for it on your character sheet, right? If you're some kind of martial character, you'll want to know this number. Make things easy, make things smooth so your DM doesn't get mad about all the grappling going on, slowing down his game, or her game, or their game. So, your escape DC is an 8, plus your strength mod, plus your pro bonus. It's not rocket science. It's the same thing as a spell DC, spell save DC. We also have a clarification, I call it a clarification, on the size issue. It doesn't clear up the whole tiny creature moving tiny creature around. That's, like I said, that's a small issue. It does say that the target of a grapple cannot be more than one size rank bigger. So, messed up my pages. My apologies. Let's continue. And it also restates that you absolutely have to have a free appendage to make a grappling action. Let's drop back for a second because this is important. I want to make sure you are listening because I'll be honest, I had to go over this several times. When you are trying to grapple, you are not making an attack roll in the simplest form of this. You are not making an attack roll. You're telling your DM that you are making an unarmed strike and you are attempting to grapple, and then they make a saving throw against your escape DC, which is your strength plus 8 plus your pro bonus. So you have the same chance of grappling somebody, equivalent chance of a cleric getting somebody to fail a save against a hold person, or against a wizard getting somebody to fail a save and take full damage against a fireball. It's the same idea. It's consistent. The higher your strength, the better you are at grappling. What if we want to have a grapple focus for our player? This starts out with Tavern Brawler. Now, this is our opening feat. It is an origin feat used all around the dockyards of every fantasy world. It does not help directly with grappling. Sorry, I didn't mean to tease you. It does help with your unarmed attacks. So if you're regularly making unarmed attacks, it will factor in. So let's just give the information here. It gives you a statistically relevant increase in your unarmed strikes as far as the damage goes. You go from 1 point to a D4 damage plus your strength bonus, and you reroll once. So instead of doing, let's say, 4 points of damage, you start doing 6 points of damage. It makes a difference. 6 or 7 points. Pretty much doubling your damage. It depends upon what your strength modifier is there. Now here's the thing. You also get to push with one of these attacks per turn. So if you're going to punch somebody, you basically punch and push. So you get both effects. You have a chance of bashing somebody and forcing them back as well. Now, in all of these, on a successful push, the opponent has the choice: do they get pushed back 5 feet, or do they fall down? That keeps you from just being able to, push everybody off a cliff. All right, now here's the big one. General feat. It is actually called Grappler. So this is our make or break. Yep. Grappler gives you a few different things. Punch and grab is the first thing it gives you. When making an unarmed strike, you can simultaneously make an attack roll for damage and require a save to grapple. So you can do some damage and grab the guy at the same time. Attack advantage. You have advantage on attacks against creatures grappled by you. That's any attack, longsword, spell attack, or a wedgie attack. Wedgie attacks can be very dangerous. So if you're getting 2 attacks per round, makes sense. You're getting your first general feat. You're a fighter or a barbarian. You're very close to your 2 attacks, your extra attack. You make your first attack. You punch the dude, grab him. Your second attack with your club or whatever is at advantage. Let's see. And you have fast wrestler. And that's where you can move your target. You can drag them at your full speed. It's as opposed to half speed. Then you have the unarmed fighting style. This is mostly for fighters, of course. And if you want to just super focus on all these pushing, striking, grappling attacks, it converts your unarmed strike damage to a d6, or if you're not using a weapon or a shield, all the way to a d8. So that's pretty significant. As for grappling, you get bonus damage. Not a bonus action, but you just get automatic bonus damage. It's not a whole lot. It's 2 points of damage. It's a d4 damage. And it happens at the beginning of any turn that you have somebody grappled, and it is the grappled target that makes that save. It's not a lot, but it adds up. And think about it this way too: if you are a grappling attacker, that's kind of slowing things down. It's not you doing more damage mostly. It's about you drawing out the fight, keeping them from doing damage while you're still doing consistent damage. Instead of a 3-round fight, maybe a 5-round fight. It's a little bit, makes that little bit of extra damage make more of a difference. What are our conclusions? Our conclusions are simple. This is a tool for your toolbox. Whether you have the extra skills or not, this lets you drag somebody around the battlefield. It lets you move them into fire. It lets you move them into water. Get them prone, potentially drown them. Even if you're playing this cat and mouse game of them breaking free and you re-grabbing, that's okay. It adds to the dynamics of a fight. Now, obviously, if you're doing this, you need a very high strength. Something else this does is taking advantage of those spells that the target takes damage if they're in the field of effect at the end of their turn. So something like a Spirit Guardians. If you got a hold of somebody in a Spirit Guardians, presumably you're not taking any damage, and they are taking full damage every turn. You can drag them into other effects as well, whether it be spike growth or whatever. This is great for a barbarian that is taking half damage. So if they're taking half, your opponent's taking full, great. And a really simple thing, if you've got a hold of somebody and you take them to the ground, your opponents, while you're holding the guy there, he's at disadvantage on pretty much all of his attacks, and your buddies can just unleash on him while he's at advantage to hit. I think that the biggest advantage of grappling is about controlling your opponent, being able to move him around, being able to make him vulnerable to your whole cadre of attackers, of your partners, your allies. I think that's going to pretty much do it. We have pretty much covered everything. The key to this is to really know these rules, to practice the process, and that way you're not holding things up in the game. When you go into combat and you see a good time to try to grapple, to try to push, it's your responsibility as the player to know these rules that you are wanting to execute. And if you do it smoothly and you have a good DM, they'll work with you. If you go in and you try to do it and you're having to re-look up the rules and suddenly your turn is taking 15 minutes instead of 30 seconds, well, then the DM is going to be discouraged about your grappling. This can be a simple addition to combat. It is great in complicated terrain if you're fighting on surfaces that are uneven, places where you can get an extra advantage from pushing somebody around, or terrain that you can hold somebody into something that is dangerous to them, whether it be, well, water or fire, like I mentioned before. I am glad that you all joined me today. You guys are the ones that make this station work. You are all important to this world, and I am so glad that you are a part of it. I hope that you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of the day. Cheers. All right, let's take another run at this. Video's over, but let's see if I can do this without looking at my notes. It's your turn. Your fighter is ready to go. You want to grab the guy in front of you. You say, hey, DM, I am making an unarmed strike trying to grab this guy. You need to make a DC 17 strength or dexterity check. Your choice. Oh, it's a fail. All right. He is grappled. His movement is 0. Now, when this guy gets his turn again, the target, he has a choice. You can attempt to escape, at which point you are making a athletics check or a acrobatics check against that DC 17. But to escape, you have to use an action. So if you do it, whatever you were otherwise going to do with your action is forfeit. If they choose to attack, if they attack anybody else, it is at disadvantage. If they attack you, it is a normal attack. But you're still going around with no movement. Yeah, that works. That's simple. I mean, there's no reason that with a little practice and a little repetition, you can't make this a highly valuable part of your attack package. I already did the outro. Love you guys. See you next time.